Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this first webinar in our Creating a Sustainable Campus series with UW Sustainability. I'm Damon Eklund. I'm the Communications Manager for UW Sustainability, and I'm happy to be joined today with Mark Whiteley from Housing and Food Services to kick off this series and talk a little bit about sustainability dining and housing and food services sustainability efforts. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, and honored to kick off the web series today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the presentation I'm going to run through for you. And in turn, yes, my name is Mark Whiteley. I'm the specialist for projects and purchasing within UW Dining, and I'm excited to present some of the information about sustainability within the UW Dining department to y'all and field some questions at the end. The presentation should take roughly 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time available for questions, and I will do my best to answer those as well as I can. Again, excited to discuss the topic and kick off the speaking series today. So let's dive in. So as we're talking about sustainability with UW Dining, I'm going to go ahead and move us forward. So from our webpage, if you haven't had a chance to visit, I'm just going to do a quick verbatim. Housing and Food Services established our first comprehensive sustainability policy in July 2000, laying the groundwork to incorporate the three pillars of sustainability, environmental, economic, and social considerations into our decision-making process. Since then, Housing and Food Services has become a national leader among higher education, housing, and dining operations in sustainability. And I was just recently checking some of our rankings with the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, and glad to say that the University of Washington is ranking still in the top 10 in quite a few of their metrics. So as we move forward, we will discuss that again, but let's dive into the meat of the presentation today. So talking about UW Dining sustainability initiatives, we're going to take a few areas of focus. UW Dining is a partner in achieving the UW sustainability and carbon neutrality goals. So working with Damon and the rest of his department on trying to achieve the goals across the university at large, but how those focus within UW Dining brings it into some unique constraints. Our UW sustainability partners we're going to discuss today, UW Sustainability as mentioned, but we also work with UW Recycling. The Evergreen Institute is a new student-run organization here on campus that I've made contact with, as well as our seed group, Students Expressing Environmental Dedication, is an excellent partner and helping me greatly and achieve some of our departmental goals. We will then discuss University of Washington Dining sustainability initiatives at our campus locations. And in turn, we'll discuss a little bit of our off-campus partnerships as well, as we have reached out to quite a few groups through the city of Seattle and beyond. All right. So within our department, some of our sustainability initiatives, plant-based advancement on our menus through building a balanced plate and menu. This again encompasses meeting the needs of the UW Dining community where they are at, and in what we're discussing is advancing the amount of plant-based options on our menu, and I'm going to define some of the reasons why here shortly. Again, we're going to discuss our sustainability campus partnerships, our vendor partnerships, as well as the Ozzi reusable container program today, which has been on campus for 3 years, but this last fall was launched at a much greater scope, providing free containers to all incoming new students. So let's take a look at where we're headed. Plant-based offerings. This is an opportunity to reduce University of Washington's carbon footprint, and we have a friendlier diet display here, and you can look at how climate friendliness can impact diet, and our diet can in turn impact our impact on our carbon footprint personally, but also how that presents at the UW Dining level. So if you've read about the diet piece there, you don't have to give up meat altogether to make a difference. Even smaller shifts like eating less meat and more plants or switching from beef to chicken can reduce your carbon footprint, as beef being one of the highest impactors. Plant-based food currently accounts for 38% of all the menu items served through UW Dining. So we are excited to continue to expand and offer a broader variety of plant-based items to the UW Dining community. A brief overview of that impact, as we looked at the Lancet Commission reported 40% of global land use and 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. 70% of fresh water uses all directly linked to agriculture. And I don't think that's that surprising to many of the folks joining today. What surprised me was the second point. Animal agriculture accounts for a significant portion of land use and greenhouse gas emissions. Again, that's 83% of farmland all going to animal-based agriculture, which again, if we can avoid even in a small amount, can really change our impact on carbon neutrality and in turn achieving the goals of the university. And you can see in the graph piece there how much impact does food have. As we roll through, beef and lamb is really an outlier there, hence why it is in red. And I can show that point a little more clearly on our next slide. As we take a look, the carbon footprint scorecard, and I do appreciate this slide as was provided from the greenhouse gas presentation, beef being the strong outlier there, and then working its way all the way to the bottom at vegetables. Again, a great way to impact greenhouse gas emissions and our personal impact on achieving some of the decarbonization goals here at the University of Washington. And I always like to throw out the catchphrase, which is currently 95 by 35, as we look to be 95% carbon neutral by 2035. So how do we go ahead and achieve these goals within UW Dining is mainly through building a balanced plate, a new initiative that was launched with our executive chefs and nutritionists here on campus. And again, we can dig a little deeper into what we're trying to accomplish. So what is a balanced plate? Balanced plate provides customers with a variety of nutrients through properly portioned vegetables, grains, or carbohydrates, and protein. Eating balanced meals will help promote health and prevent disease. A plate is only providing 1/3 of the daily requirements for individuals. So again, we're talking about building your plate with a half. 50% of the entree will be colorful vegetables or fruits, a quarter of grains and carbohydrates, and a quarter plate of lean protein. We do source a variety of meat analogs or non-meat products to fill some of those protein areas, just to provide a broader variety of foods to our UW Dining community. But in turn, we are focusing on this as it follows the USDA guidelines for nutrition and presenting a healthy option for our students, as we don't dictate what the UW Dining community eats, but we do try and make recommendations and provide options for people to make their own choices. So as we get a little more graphic, you can see that 2 servings, at least 2 varieties of different fruits or vegetables. The carbohydrate piece, again, is a quarter of the plate and 1/4 as a lean protein or alternative that I've mentioned. Again, we're sourcing a variety of different proteins through local vendors, in turn with meat analogs, and again, trying to provide a broad spectrum of choices for the UW Dining community to engage in to achieve some of these goals. This translates to building a broader, balanced menu. And when we discuss menu building, there's quite a bit of science that goes into the creation of a menu. Here at UW Dining, we utilize a program called Seaboard that is a data management program that allows us to create new menu items, new recipes, and then in turn apply the nutritional aspects to those as well, so that we're ensuring that we are serving a safe and nutritious product and labeling and displaying that on our menus so that it's clear to all the UW Dining community what they're trying to engage in as far as their dining choices. So as we move forward, we can talk a little further. Menu planning is like putting together a puzzle. Several pieces to consider and how they fit together. Aesthetics. We know we all eat with our eyes. A variety of color, textures, shape of food, consistency, firm, thick, or gelatinous, temperature of food, flavor combinations. Texture is a big component here when we discuss what we are dining and what we are eating, either for fun or for our more strict diets. Those could be religious-based diets or, again, personal preferences as far as food intake. Other factors, cost and pricing of meals. staffing needed for preparation, which is always an exciting hurdle to overcome here on a university campus, the equipment necessary to prepare all the foods in a safe manner, and nutritional balance. That involves a variety of options put on the plate throughout the week, the need to have different vegetables to obtain optimal nutrition, greens, yellows, reds, orange throughout the week. Again, this has a seasonal aspect to it, but we have some excellent partners that help us in this area. One to mention right away would be the UW Farm that provides an excellent variety of organic produce products for us to present within our menus or for retail sale here on campus. As we talk about that menu planning and the individual entrees that are presented within it, consumers should strive to meet these amounts daily. Each meal plan should provide 1/3 of the daily requirements. A lot of the UW dining meal programs are based on a 3-meal platform, so that following these guidelines will get you your 100% daily requirements satisfied. Discussing vegetables, 5 servings per day, fruits 4, grains 6, 3 on the dairy side, protein 8 to 9 servings approximately a week, 3 ounces, I should say. Seafood 2 to 3 servings a week, and then another great source of protein and nuts, seeds, legumes, 5 servings per week. Again, you probably weren't thinking you were getting a lesson in dietary management, but hey, here we are. Another more visual example, you can see how colorful we're trying to achieve the vegetable piece here. Nutritional value and minimal caloric impact. And quite a few of these vegetables we've been able to source through the UW Farm or our partner off campus, Charlie's Produce. Fiber-rich whole grains are also a component here on quarter of the plate. And then again, we've discussed the lean protein piece. Could be meat, chicken, fish, or some of the meat analogs we discussed in addition to tofu, nuts, and legumes. So let's discuss how UW Dining interacts with some of our campus sustainability partners, as we could not achieve what we are doing today without the partnership of UW Sustainability and some of our other partners. So we thank them for hosting this. So let's talk about UW Sustainability. Damon and I worked together to, at least in my portion, update the sustainability action plan that's presented through his department. And again, this is based on the fiscal year 2024 that we are currently in. And it outlines and defines some of the goals that we're attempting to achieve on campus. And it's broken down basically into 9 sections. I'm not going to cover all 9 today, but we will discuss the ones that are most impacted by UW Dining and how we're doing our part to move the needle to achieving all these goals across campus. So we work in partnership with UW Sustainability to achieve the goals of the broader action plan for our university. And again, this is beyond just Seattle campus, but involves our satellite campuses as well. Target 1, double student, staff, and faculty engagement by 2024. And yet here we are in 2024 already. I am happy to report UW Dining is involved in educational opportunities in the classroom and dining unit setting. And again, we've discussed the launching of an expanded Ozzi reusable container program and an educational piece that went along with that. So first, I can speak to several levels of engagement in the classroom. Myself included have joined classes in the nutrition science department, as well as some of the other groups focused on sustainability and improving the environmental impact of the university at large. It is always flattering and very exciting to be welcomed into the classroom by different professors across campus and share some of the knowledge that we've accumulated within UW Dining with students and faculty alike. Most recently, I was joined by the campus executive chef, Tracy McCrae, and our UW Dining nutritionist, Jessica Deere, at a nutrition class, and we were discussing a broad range of topics and had a wonderful time with a very engaged and intelligent student group who were filled with a variety of excellent questions about how UW Dining interacts with some of these goals and how we work to achieve them. And again, we're going to discuss the Ozzi reusable container program a little further in depth in just a moment. But again, I wanted to make note of that because it's been an opportunity for us to educate the UW dining community on how we can reduce waste as it leaves campus, either in a compostable, recyclable, or landfill application, and how the Ozzi reusable container program had impact in all three of those areas. Second, target 4, purchasing, which is right in my wheelhouse. Again, this is one of my responsibilities within UW Dining to assist our executive chef in purchasing food. My area is more in retail and non-food items, but that has great impact on our sustainability initiatives in that all of the paper products, containers, and different utensils that we are using to serve food all have a role in how we can achieve some of the goals and move the needle forward continually as we strive for that carbon neutrality goal, as well as some of the other sustainability action plan items that I'm going to mention here right now. Next, we'll talk about target 6, 35% of food is from local sources by 2025. So as we approach the next fiscal year, we are currently at roughly 32% locally sourced food. And what does that mean as definition? Vendors that fall within 250 miles of the Seattle campus, we are going to consider local, although quite a few of our excellent partners are much closer to campus than that. A few that I would mention today would be Wilcox Farms, a local farm that we utilize all of our eggs and some other dairy products through. In turn, we work with Dairy Gold for other dairy and milk products, and then a variety of smaller vendors that either source through US Foods or are independent that we purchase through here for UW Dining locally, as we'd love to support local businesses, in turn, businesses that represent, I would say, classes of people that are we want to promote here on campus. So women-owned business, minority-owned business, veteran-owned business, in addition, are some of the factors that we look at. And we review quite in depth the sustainability initiatives of each one of these businesses we are sourcing products from. So again, we're discussing their internal sustainability initiatives. A good example would be our partnership with Pagliacci Pizza. Excellent company, very sustainably minded. And I always like to point out that all of their pizza boxes are compostable. But again, these great partnerships on and off campus are what provides us the opportunity to advance the goals across the broader university, and in turn build some great business partnerships locally with some excellent businesses. Target 9, trying to reduce 10% solid waste on campus. And we discussed this briefly in regards to the Ozzi reusable container program. In addition, we've also reinstated the use of reusable plates and utensils at all our residential dining sites. Most prominently, center table and local point. You will notice no more compostable flatware or plates, cups, or dishes are in play unless there is some sort of a washing emergency. But outside that, we are excited to reduce the use of single-use products in this area and looking to expand those hard plates and metal utensils to some of our other UW Dining sites as well. All right. Next slide discusses our partnership with UW Recycle and the advancement of waste sorting. So it's a huge component when we're discussing reducing waste that exits this campus by 10%. I know you're all familiar with the 3 can system you see around campus everywhere you go. And I always like to make a point to thank UW Recycle as they produce all of the signage and maintain the shadow boxes that show the actual items that we're sourcing through UW Dining and that our community will come across when utilizing one of our dining facilities, and really try and provide a visual cue and guide to how to dispose of these items properly so they end up in the right place. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a partnership where we want to properly sort waste to advance sustainability action plan, as we mentioned, reducing solid waste by 10%. And we're going to hit that in a few different areas. Again, we discussed how they're improving waste sorting graphics and the shadow boxes around campus, always very much appreciated. And we just added some new updates within the last quarter. We're going to target and eliminate specific items causing contamination. Let me define what I mean by contamination. So, for instance, if Recology, who is our recycling partner here on campus, finds more than 15% what they call contamination or items that are not recyclable, that load from that specific residence hall more than likely will be then taken to the landfill. If this occurs 3 times simultaneously, those items are going to be landfilled for 90 days until we can kind of recalibrate how we want to sort those items either within the residences or the dining units operating in those buildings as well. And I could make note, if you'd like to engage on this level, we will be having a recycling sorting event in the Maple Great Room on February 29th, Leap Day, from 11 to 12:30, where we are going to put down tarps, get all suited up in a nice Tyvek safety suit, and we are going to sort through several hundred pounds of recycling and make it sort of a live event so people can come and join us and see, but in turn learn where should these items have been deposited. And we're going to put them in the different 3 piles, either landfill, stay right there in recycling and done correctly with the big hoorah, or we'll discuss if that was a compostable item and should have been put in the 3rd bin. And yeah, should be pretty exciting. Might be a little stinky, but again, we're going to make fun of the event, or have fun at the event, and in turn try and expand everybody's understanding and knowledge when it comes to recycling and the sorting of waste as it leaves campus. We're also advancing our vendor utilization of compostable and recyclable items here on campus as well. In fact, just prior to this presentation, I was meeting with an excellent partner, World Centric, who provides us a variety of compostable containers, takeout boxes, deli containers, and other food-related items as far as packaging is concerned. And they have some excellent ways to advance our goals here on campus and also adhere to what are the newest Washington State sustainability and compostable laws when it comes to labeling and the production of compostable products, so that we're not committing any greenwashing and are actually following through on what our commitment is. All right, as we continue forward, I wanted to give you just a visualization of what these trash sorting sites look like. I know you've seen them around campus. Again, there is quite a bit of work that goes behind just what might seem a simple sign. UW Recycle does a fantastic job working with me and other campus partners to source these pictures to update their graphics. In addition, maintaining the shadow boxes with actual wrappers, containers, utensils, and different items to give as perfect a visualization as we can to really assist at that moment as you approach these 3 locations, these 3 cans, and make it as easy as possible to do the right thing. As I know, when we're busy, we sometimes don't have a lot of time to invest in where we're throwing a piece of trash. So the easier we can make the process, the better, but it really lies on the individual to do the right thing. And again, we try and make it as easy as possible, but we want to make sure that everyone feels the importance here to do the right thing. As we continue forward, we have some other UW Dining campus partners, a couple that I'd mentioned. So SEED is a student-run organization, students engaged in environmental dedication. They have been instrumental, and in fact, were the initial funder with support from UW Sustainability to launch the Ozzi container program 3 years ago. We have taken that and grown it since that time, and I believe have created something fantastic here on campus. But the group is a wonderful, intelligent group of students that engage in quite a few different areas of environmental sustainability is here on campus as well as off campus. They are an integral part in the RCSA, which is our resident student leadership, and have been a fantastic partner for me in rolling out some new initiatives and supporting education here on campus with our different student groups we interact with. The Evergreen Institute is a new student organization that just formed in the fall. I've had a chance to meet with some of the leadership, and we've discussed some of their focuses as far as advancing environmental goals of students and the university. A very passionate group of people who are looking to make positive impact through actionable items. So really getting into the facilities, getting in front of students. We've discussed some educational and presentational opportunities for new students, similar to the level of courses you may have taken in hazing or other areas on campus. We're discussing perhaps a required piece of content that each student would be quizzed on, so that there's a broad understanding of our goals for sustainability and how each individual student can help achieve those goals. So again, always excited to work with these great student-run organizations. But in turn, we've got some other excellent partners, one of which I'd mentioned, the UW Farm. Always amazed by what Perry and her team achieve here on campus in such a small space. I mean, we're literally talking about limited acreage, but producing a guided crop, I should say, in that they take feedback from UW Dining as to what plants and crops they want to put in the ground, because again, we're one of their end users, and it gives them some a better way to grow sustainable products. Obviously, these are all grown here on campus. These are organic produce items that we are excited to use not only in our recipes with UW Dining, but sell as retail produce at our C-stores and the district markets. So we want to grow that relationship as we move forward. As I'd mentioned, collaborative crop planting and planning, recipe creation, and retail produce sales. We're also working on a pilot program, a vermicompost project, where the UW Farm is collecting coffee grounds and food scrap from Husky Grind and using that to feed worms that are in turn continuing the composting product to create some great amendments that they can add to the soil and grow even bigger and better produce here on campus. So that project is continuing and is in the testing phase right now, but excited to see where that goes in the future. And if we can expand that out to broader UW Dining facilities, as we've got several other units producing coffee grounds and food scrap that could be inputted into the system. UW Pantry is another excellent partner of ours here on campus. We have a good relationship of donating product, obviously, that is safe for redistribution. And we had actually are planning on a meeting here shortly, as they are looking at the pantry to increase the volume and scope of donations to help grow the No Hungry Husky program. Just to report, they have seen a drastic uptick in throughput at the pantry. Their requests for food have grown exponentially over the last year. So we are trying to be a good partner and provide what we can. Obviously, our focus is not to waste food, but if there are products that are still edible and very much usable and delicious, we do offer those to the UW Pantry to be redistributed around campus for free. All right, we have some sustainable partnerships with our vendors and a few other off-campus partnerships as well that I'd like to define today. So we source vendors with a sustainability focus, and I'd mentioned that, working to increase our locally sourced food to 35% by 2025. We're currently at 32% and moving that forward as I've looked into a couple new local food source vendors and a couple of non-food vendors as well. We do apply a moratorium on vendors with questionable labor and environmental practices. So if we're going to present goals as a university and as a UW Dining entity, we need to make sure that the people we are engaged with for products also follow a similar ideal set. So we ask a fair amount of questions when sourcing a new vendor, and in turn follow the news in regards to some of our existing vendors. We have limits that deal with labor practices, We've limited some produce items and will not purchase from a specific company that is having negative interactions with the farm union. Monkey labor can come into play in this area. The broader environmental practices of each of these vendors are definitely looked at in detail to make sure that we are partnered with people who agree that sustainability and carbon neutrality are important, and that as a research university, we are upholding those standards and advancing them as a group. In addition, we're expanding that use of compostable containers. I'd mentioned a few of our vendor partners, but let's mention a couple others. So UW Dining continues to expand purchasing with leaders in the sustainable container industry, like World Centric, who I just met with earlier today. Eco Products is another great partner. And then a new group, TerraVive, is gaining speed in the area, and we are looking to engage with them and some of their great products as well. In addition, we have recycling initiatives here on campus through UW Dining. So we recycle all of our waste food oil through a company you may have known as Sequential, who is now called Mahoney. Mahoney Environmental picks up used cooking oil at all of our dining sites that have around campus and use it to turn it into biodiesel fuel and a variety of other products, but biodiesel being the most prominent. Ozzi is a great company out of Rhode Island that we've partnered with to replace reusable food containers. And then we have a variety of other sustainably minded companies that I've mentioned to advance our goals. Always looking for new and engaging partners where we can continue to be on the cutting edge as a program here at UW Dining and maintain the sustainability goals across campus. And in addition, we have some government engagement. Most recently, I've been meeting with some elements through the city of Seattle, like Reuse Seattle, to talk about some of the programs that we may launch here on campus. We're also discussing some funding that may be available through grants to help expand some of these programs. Additionally, I work fairly closely with the Washington State Department of Ecology to launch some of the new laws and requirements here within the state and within the city, and have spoken at length with Cascadia Consulting Group that works with the city of Seattle, but also reaches out to other partners like the University of Washington and myself within UW Dining, not only to advance their personal goals, but if we could work collaboratively with the University of Washington Sustainability and Recycle to grow the programs that we represent. Cascadia is offering to assist us in achieving some of these grant funding opportunities and provide some other reusable container plans that they are aware of outside the city of Seattle. So I'll keep you all posted. If you keep an eye on the UW Dining website, you will see some updates coming shortly. Let's talk a little more in depth about the Ozzi reusable container program. Again, this was launched several years ago with assistance from University of Washington Sustainability Office and the student group SEED. But this fall quarter, I'm happy to say that our unit director, Robert Bickham, made a wise choice to expand this program greatly and provide the funding to do so, to where we are now able to provide a free Ozzi container token to enter the system for this reusable package food container to every incoming student. So we've distributed at this point close to 8,000 tokens. We are seeing a great uptick in the program, and I can show you some of the data here as well. So what we've talked about, the educational piece in one of our goals for the university sustainability plan, correct? So we've trained our staff with a representative from Ozzi who was gracious enough to join us via Zoom and train some of our leadership. That in turn translated into training that we did with the residential desk staff. So during check-in is when we distributed these tokens to each student and attached them to a card with a very brief description of the program and a QR code to get a little more information. And then we distributed those talking points to our campus partners. We've worked to educate the UW Dining community on how the program works, and I think we're starting to gain some excellent traction. But this is a program that we'd like to continue to expand further around campus. And as this program continues to grow, we are creating a model that other universities and other entities around the world can engage so that they too can take part in reducing the use of single use containers, compostable or otherwise, to reduce the waste off of our campus and, of course, their organizations. I would mention that earlier this week, or excuse me, just late last week, I had the opportunity to connect with the Tacoma High School and the Tacoma School District. This was the Math and Science Institute, presented 60 students for a tour here on campus to discuss University of Washington's sustainability efforts within UW Dining. And their interest was bringing those back to the Tacoma School District to advance their initiatives within. And very flattered to hear that some of the students are already writing proposals to present to the district. So again, we're trying to share this with the world, but I think sharing it with our students that may become the future Huskies is a good start. The distribution report I receive from Ozzi Corporate once a month defines how many containers were inputted back into the collection machine. This gives us a partial understanding of how large the program has grown. And if you'd notice, if you'd look, let's just take, for example, January 2023, the total there for containers collected was under 200. But if we advance forward to either October or November of the same year, you can see a drastic increase in input to the system as we've expanded the program, as I'd mentioned. I see opportunities for continued growth here, as well as expanding this program to other University of Washington dining sites. And I think, again, we're already having impact. We've removed tons of compost from the waste stream already, just in this brief time period with fall quarter complete and our progress through winter quarter. I'm waiting for some exact numbers from UW Recycle, but excited to see those. And I can speak directly to the fact that we've saved just in excess of $30,000 in compostable single-use container purchases already. So as we save money in UW Dining, that money can be better spent, A, to support this program and keep it moving forward, but B, that can be put towards other, I think, more sustainable uses and just better use of those dollars for supporting the students directly than just buying containers that are going to be used once and then shipped off of campus. So as I finish up our presentation today, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I do see a couple questions in the chat that Damon is going to present and we can discuss. And I'm excited to answer any questions that you may have today.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of questions about the Ozzi program. First off, you touched on this with kind of the savings for the compostable packaging, but one of them was just, are those products cost competitive? And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more to, what the positives of the program are and what you're looking for. Obviously there's some cost savings, and just what, I guess, to expand on that, what do you consider or what would you consider success with that program when you're looking at it?
For me, success with the program can be defined with some measurable dollar amounts. Savings in purchasing, as I'd mentioned, single-use containers is fantastic because then those dollars can be put elsewhere. The program itself, I think, represents a great step forward to achieve some of the broader University of Washington sustainability goals, and that not only are we not purchasing these single-use containers, plates, or what have you, but it's providing an opportunity to reuse those containers over and over again. Yes, we can wash them on site. I think that is a great bonus, so that we can use the same container set over and over again. Supposedly the containers are now rated to 1,000 washes as far as their life. So that long life eliminates X amount of compostable containers, single-use containers for just the one Ozzi container. I think that itself is a great bonus. In addition, I'd like to point out that Ozzi has created basically a closed loop system where they will take back damaged or scratched or just not visually pleasing containers for free. I can ship them back. They basically grind these down to production size pellets to produce new containers. So that aspect of not continuing to produce plastic items out of polypropylene-based materials is an excellent element to the program. And I think the waste piece as well, just not having to pay to haul that much waste. I should mention our partner, Cedar Grove, who is our composting partner with the University of Washington. The less we have to ship off campus, the better, even if it is producing a great fertilizing product to finish. Again, it limits their trucks having to come onto campuses frequently, the weight that they're moving to their facility in Everett, and I think just hits a lot of the sustainability goals for the campus all the way around.
And another question about the program is, do you think it's possible to switch from a physical token to a digital token, like a QR code or some sort of app base for those containers?
Extremely savvy question. Excellent question. That is something that I'm looking at. Ozzi themselves offer a virtual token program. We're trying to work out the logistics of that and how that would mesh with the University of Washington dining systems, our point of sale system. In turn, it requires each user to download an app on their smartphone or device that becomes the virtual token. And we're working with Ozzi and actually looked at a couple other program providers, Topanga and a couple other groups that people may have heard of, to provide a virtual token without being exclusive to someone who has a smartphone. We want to make sure this is open to anybody across the board that engages us at UW Dining, and not limited by the fact that you'd have to have a smartphone per se. So yes, definitely in the works, and part of our phase 2 for Ozzi program expansion.
And if anyone has other questions, please put it in the chat. I had one thing I wanted to go back to, where you talked about the current level of both plant-based and sort of local sourced food is something that you're looking towards. And I was just wondering if you had any sense of the trends or how those numbers have changed over time.
Yeah, I've been in position here with UW Dining for just under a year, so I can't speak to all of the trends, but from what I've experienced here in department, well, let me make sure I'm answering your question most specifically, Damon. Can you rephrase that just briefly so I'm hitting the mark here?
Yeah, do you know, I guess the gist of it is, do you know if especially the amount of plant-based offerings and also the locally sourced offerings, has that been something that's been, the amount increasing over time, or the the percentage of those increasing over time, or how much of a, I guess, priority has that been for HFS? Is that something that's renewed or ongoing, or how do you know about how that number has fluctuated over the recent years?
Sure, great question, and I think I understand the scope now. Yeah, so it's been definitely advancing as far as availability and scope of product that's available, food and non-food items that are purchased. The expansion of meat analogs is just grows almost monthly from what I can see in contact with other vendors. Now, we want to keep in mind that we understand at UW Dining that someone who is truly works within a vegan diet may not want fake meat. They want a actual vegan or vegetarian, depending on what your diet is, based food items. So we're trying to represent areas across a broad spectrum of dining choices and diet choices. So availability is definitely increased. We've tried to move forward with that locally as well, if we can source more locally. And I can say that is also on the increase. We've touched base, me personally and several other folks within the department, with some new companies that have come up with some great sustainably minded products. This varies in range from, energy bars, nutritional bars, all the way to, baked products, breakfast sandwiches, muffins, and it's great because we live in such a food-rich area with such a wonderful variety and quality of food across so many different regional and ethnic food groups that the sourcing is actually fairly easy to hit a broad spectrum there. But in turn, we want to apply some of our strict requirements to each one of those vendors before we move forward. And there's always some broader goals that are involved. If we can source any of these products through some of our broadline food providers like US Foods, that way we don't have multiple delivery trucks coming on campus. We can just have one truck come that provides product from a variety of different vendors. And yeah, I think as the opportunities grow, and as I learn more from some of other University of Washington partners as well as partners off campus, there's definitely opportunity for us to continue that growth curve as well and hit that 35% local goal easily by next year. I want to see if we can knock that out this year. And in addition, continuing to source and present plant-based food products is a goal, not only because that's where the dietary trends seem to be leading, but again, I think the quality of plant-based food products has grown so much, which in the last few years, I think people would be really surprised to revisit that dining area as far as the flavor, texture, and availability of products has become greater and greater.
Just a couple more questions and comments on the Ozzi program. So one comment in the chat says that someone's tried to use the container at dining services, but it's been awkward to ask for the container, and sometimes the servers aren't always aware of the program, or there aren't any containers available. So just said that more training or ways to make it more available would perhaps lead to an uptake in participation. And then another one was just more of kind of, can you talk more to where the initial funding for the program came from? And I know that our office was involved a little bit when the program started, and the Campus Sustainability Fund, which is the student sustainability fund here on campus that's funded by student fees and goes to grant projects that are kind of student driven. I know the Campus Sustainability Fund and SEED, the student group you mentioned in the residence halls, started and kind of asked for a pilot program. And I think there was a Campus Sustainability Fund grant that kind of got that off the ground when it started. But can you speak to a little bit more of how the program was funded, and especially for this expansion?
Absolutely. Again, I appreciate you mentioning your department's partnership in the original launch of the program in collaboration with the SEED. And actually, your department provided additional funding within this last fiscal year as we expanded the program. And I just wanted to make note and thank you and Lisa for providing that additional funding from your department. Within UW Dining, we had a part of our budget also earmarked as for sustainability efforts. So that fund was basically exhausted on the expansion of this program. There were some new sources of funding in, not only into what I understand is your sustainability fund within department, but ours as well, from our new partnership with Pepsi as the beverage provider here on campus. So they were gracious enough to offer many thousands of dollars towards sustainability. And I should make note, continue to offer a specially produced sustainable, or I should say compostable Pepsi cup here to us on campus. As quite a few of these elements are unique to the city of Seattle or the state of Washington. As if you've traveled out of state and looked for a compostable can, sometimes not available. But yes, a variety of funds from within our department and from outside. I should mention that we are kind of a two-edged sword trying to self-fund and drive this program forward. And one of the means to do that was to charge a 50-cent charge to someone who wants to decline the Ozzi program and use a single-use container instead. So that pays for that container basically, and then allows us to keep the funds otherwise and use them towards sustainability. It's an incentive to move towards the Ozzi program. and in turn, we're not trying to bankrupt the students or take money from them per se. But again, we did want to incentivize the use of the Ozzi containers. To answer the question about training, understood. This is a piece that I think we are continuing to train our guest-facing staff on, the cashiers and the other students or classified staff that work with us within UW Dining. And I totally realize this requires more training and more effort to make sure that everybody understands the program, feels comfortable with it. There will never be a shortage of containers. I can guarantee you that, as we'd purchased over 10,000 to have a good backstock and supply ready to move forward. And actually had those produced in the beautiful UW purple. So it's a nice item to have to show your Husky pride. But we will continue to train within the department to increase availability and understanding of the program. And, you know, not that you have to give pushback to our staff, but I think if you gave them a big smile and let them know how passionate you are about the Ozzi program, they're gonna comply with you. But again, I will continue to follow up at the unit level to make sure we are growing the program and providing it in the most easy and seamless manner possible.
Two more questions. We are running up on time. We've got about 7 minutes left. So just kind of a couple of quick ones. One was, does HFS work with or have any influence on off-campus dining providers or community partners, such as your restaurants along the Ave or other restaurants or food providers in the community?
Another great question. And we definitely try to. I know as a staff, we engage with quite a few of the, restaurants and other food service providers within the university district and the other, maybe down by the waterfront piece of campus. There has been some discussion for greater engagement. I know UW Recycle has discussed this at length because they're the first to realize when businesses from off campus aren't engaged in the level of sustainability that we are, and totally understandable when you're, maybe a single owner or a mom and pop based business that, investing that much time, they don't have a person like myself on staff. But they're also the first to realize that products that are not compostable or recyclable will find their way onto campus as students eat on the fringes of our university and then bring those products in containers back onto campus. So there is some discussion currently around a exchangeable cup program that we're looking to assist some businesses off campus help launch. This is a program that's found success in San Francisco and Los Angeles as far as some broader markets. And I think it would be useful for some of the coffee shops that exist off the edge of campus. But there is opportunity, I think, for greater engagement outside the university, not only on the research level and what we can offer as data and research, but just to share some of our practices with other businesses so that they can follow suit. So yeah, I think the questioner has launched a little bit of fire in me to continue to reach beyond just the borders of our campus.
And last one, I think, is a good one to wrap up on, which is someone mentioned just having, looking at some of the brands offered in district market and other areas and seeing a lot of ones that have really strong sustainable records and maybe being a little concerned about others. And is there a way for someone to reach out and contact you or have a conversation about, items like that where they might have a concern or have suggestions or want to see changes? What's the best way to kind of connect with yourself or UW Dining and start those conversations?
Okay, well, yeah, if you've been in any of our residential dining facilities, either Local Point or Center Table, grab some fantastic food, sit down at the table, and right in front of you will be a small table tent with a QR code that allows you to access our feedback system. Those come into our office and are distributed around to the appropriate stakeholders depending on the question. So that's an opportunity for feedback, and we are ecstatic when we've received that kind of direct feedback from the student body or staff on campus, just because you are the dining community. We need to listen, and it gives us a great opportunity to understand exactly what the concerns are of the community and how we can best fulfill those needs. Again, I'm always open to email if anybody has direct questions or concerns about or great ideas about the sustainability program here on campus. And I'm not afraid to go ahead and offer, if you want to email me at mwhite30@uw.edu. Again, it's mwhite30@uw.edu. And I see there in the chat, yep, feel free to shoot me an email, as I'm happy to answer questions about our sustainability efforts. Product sourcing is a complex project. As I'd mentioned, we do try and look at all of our vending and vendor sources, I should say, for their sustainable initiatives. As we'd ordered food and different products through some of our broadline providers, yes and no if we have actual contact with that individual manufacturer, but consideration is made on every purchase to try and balance the requests and desires from the campus dining community for the products that they like to eat and enjoy eating, and in turn uphold all of those sustainability goals across University of Washington.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark, for joining us, and thank you to everyone who attended today. We will be posting recordings of all of our Creating a Sustainable Campus webinars to the sustainability website. So keep an eye out for that. For those that want to revisit these talks, or if there's someone that you know that wasn't able to attend, we will be posting the recordings. And our next event will be on February 14th with UW Recycling, talking about some various zero waste efforts, and specifically the SCRAM, the Student Move Out program for the residence halls, to try to ensure that materials that are unwanted at the end of the school year are able to be donated or given away rather than sent directly to the landfill. So the registration for that, to get the Zoom link for that, is on the sustainability site. That's sustainability.uw.edu/webinars, and we've got a pretty good calendar for the rest of the year. So take a look at the rest of the webinars, and hopefully we'll see you for some more. And thank you for joining us for the event today. And thank you, Mark.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.